Let's talk about Kamala Harris running for president for a third time in the history of people running for president several times. And honestly, her second time has an asterisk next to it. That 107 days was not a full presidential campaign. So let's say that she's ran one and a half times. And this time will be like her first time really, really running. It's very clear that she's going to run again. And my spirit, this is more of the protective black woman spirit in me, is like, Kamala, don't let these people play in your face again. However, when I look at the history, she should run again. And when I look at the field, she's one of the most qualified people to run. And I keep telling y'all, vice presidents and governors. That's all I'm considering. Presidents and governors. And I'm absolutely not considering nobody in the House. That don't make sense. You got to win a statewide election for me. That's just, you gotta figure out how to bring together different coalitions, different type of Democrats, and that happens when you win a statewide election, even for smaller states. So anywho, I have a degree in history. I love history. I went back and was thinking about people who ran for the presidency more than once, some who were successful in winning their primary eventually, but never winning the presidency, and some who did eventually win the presidency. And there's two that are going to stand out for me. Ronald Reagan and Joe Biden both ran for the presidency 3 times, winning that third time. Reagan, of course, wins twice because he wins re-election. Joe Biden does not run for re-election, as we all know. I think the first time Joe Biden ran is just kind of out of memory because of how long ago it was. He ran in 1988. So while I was able to vote when he ran in '08, I was 2 in 1988. So Joe Biden runs for the first time in 1988, drops out in the primary. I can't remember who ended up being the nominee. And then he runs in 2008, becomes the vice president with Obama, and then eventually runs in 2020 and wins. Ronald Reagan lost to Nixon in the Republican primary in 1968. Also challenged Gerald Ford when he was president in 1976, loses both of those times, and then of course wins in 1980. And when you think about it, and they probably don't talk about this a lot because Ronald Reagan's lore as like the greatest Republican president, this doesn't fit that narrative. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not surprised this does not get discussed a lot. But there you have two people that ran 3 times and ended up winning the third time. A couple other ones that stood out to me too. Nixon, of course, is probably one of your more famous ones because he got stomped by JFK because of that famous debate where JFK was looking snazzy and Nixon was not, and JFK ended up winning. And that debate was one of the reasons why, and perhaps some backroom dealings with his father, JFK's father. So Nixon loses in 1960 and then wins in 1968. Other people that I keep thinking about, especially from recent years, Hillary Clinton ran twice. She loses the primary in 2008 to Obama, runs again in 2016, wins the primary, and of course loses the White House to that man that's in the White House now. John McCain and Mitt Romney, same thing. They both run and they make it kind of far, don't win their primary initially. So John McCain loses to Bush the second in 2000, and then Mitt Romney loses to John McCain in 2008. John McCain becomes the nominee in '08, loses to Obama. Mitt becomes the nominee in 2012, loses to Obama. So there you have that. They both lost to Obama. But there are a lot of people. Lyndon B. Johnson, his path's a little kind of funky though, because he lost that primary 68, vice president, and then becomes president because JFK dies, but then does win re-election. So you have that there. So I'm kind of walking through this because there is a history of people running for office several times. And so I'm even having to reframe my own thinking of looking at Kamala Harris as like this 2-time loser running again, because it's not uncommon. In fact, as you start thinking about some of our nominees on both sides, many of them, including that man in the White House, have run and lost and ran again. And so like I said, my mindset is the protective mindset, but she's not out the box. This is very common for people to run more than once. Another one too, William Henry Harrison. He's the guy that had that long inauguration speech and ended up getting sick and dying 31 days later. His speech was long because he lost in 1836, then ends up winning in 1840. So he's up there airing out political grievances, talking about Martin Van Buren, who beat him, and all of that. That's part of why his speech was so long. That's why he ended up dying. So see, people be holding on to that hate after they lose. That's part of why William Henry Harrison didn't make it a full term. So anywho, I think something to keep in mind, even for myself, that she would be in good company if she decides to run for a third time. And I think her path is kind of like Joe Biden, like that. She didn't stay in that primary too long in 2020. Her she didn't stay in it too long, ends up becoming Biden's VP. And then, of course, her 2024 run, the 107 days, is just, it's so crazy. And she doesn't really get to mount a full campaign. And she also has to really kind of stick to, she can't push too far away from Biden and his administration and things that he's doing. She may disagree, but as the sitting vice president, it's kind of difficult for you to do that during the presidential race. So I think she has an opportunity to really define her own administration a lot clearer, with us being some years removed from Biden in office. So in short, Kamala will be in good company when she runs for the third time.